In the 3rd year of taking care of my vegetative husband, he finally woke up. I thought that after all the hardships, we would be reunited as a couple. Unexpectedly, he had been cheating on me for a long time and his illegitimate child is already 5 years old. I had a big fight with my husband. He protected the mistress and her child and accidentally pushed me off the balcony. When I opened my eyes again, I actually went back to the time when he just became a vegetative. My son had a car accident on his way to find you, Arya. You have to take care of him. Bah! He clearly had a car accident on his way back to divorce me while still flirting with the mistress on the phone. My poor Asher. How could you marry such a wife? My mother-in-law Serafina slapped her thigh and wailed. She is just a barren hen. And she has caused you to become like this. I don't know if you will ever wake up. Her crying was shrill and mean, directly pushing all the blame for Asher's accident onto me. What are your plans? My father-in-law Oliver frowned, his turbid eyes sizing me up. I and your mother are old and can't take care of him. I don't trust outsiders. You are Asher's wife. He can only be entrusted to you. You are a doctor and can take care of him more carefully, but your work is inevitably too busy. I almost laughed out loud. It seemed like he was discussing with me, but in fact, he didn't care what I thought at all. His purpose was only one, to resign from my job and become a full-time caregiver for the vegetative Asher. In my previous life, Oliver never said such words. Because of what Serafina said, I took on the burden of taking care of Asher extremely consciously. At this time in my previous life, I hadn't discovered the truth that Asher had already cheated. In my heart, he was still my good husband who had walked with me from school uniforms to wedding dresses. We had loved each other for many years and had deep feelings. When he suddenly had a car accident and became a vegetative, how could I possibly abandon him? So I took care of him wholeheartedly for 3 whole years. Finally, when he woke up and could walk and jump like a normal person, Isabella brought his 5-year-old son to find me. Only then did I know that in the 3rd year of our marriage, Asher had an affair with Isabella. Their child is already 5 years old. That is to say, right after I had an induced labor and was diagnosed as infertile, they got together. That 5-year-old child is only half a year younger than the fetus that had been in my belly for 6 months. The reason why Asher hurried back was that he was urged by Isabella to come and divorce me. How impatient they were. They were still discussing on video on the way about how to persuade me to agree to the divorce. As a result, heaven had eyes and made him have a car accident and become a vegetative, but I was too stupid and too honest. I was kept in the dark by Asher's family. Not only did I waste 4 years of effort, but I also lost my life in vain. I know I'm sorry for you. If you want to blame someone, blame me. Don't take it out on Isabella and Leo. Asher protecting Isabella and getting angry at me is still vivid in my mind. The pain of falling from the 4th floor and being pierced by the awning bracket still remains in my body. In this way, you resign and focus on taking care of Asher. Oliver made a final decision. Without even looking at me, he directly called Serafina. All right, stop crying. Leave this to Arya. She will take good care of Asher. Serafina cursed as she stood up. With red eyes, she glared at me. If anything happens to my son again, I won't let you go. I glanced at her indifferently. If you love your son so much, why don't you take care of him yourself? Serafina's eyes widened. Arya. Are you rebelling? You are my son's wife. It's only right that you take care of him, soon I won't be anymore. I looked at this pair of mean and unreasonable parents-in-law and sneered. Dad, Mom, don't you know better than me why Asher had a car accident? What do you mean? Serafina was indeed guilty. Before I even said anything, she started scolding wildly. What do you want to do? Do you want to divorce my son at this time? Are you shameless? This sentence should be asked by me to you. I interrupted her angrily. You've had a grandson for a year. The mistress has been kept at home. And you still shamelessly want to throw such a hot potato to me. You are old and have done such shameless things. Serafina exploded. Arya. What are you talking nonsense? What grandson? What mistress? My son is such an upright person. Don't make up such a ridiculous reason just because you don't want to take care of him. Whether it's made up or true, you know it in your hearts. I looked at Oliver, who had been frowning since just now. Dad, out of politeness, I'll call you Dad for the last time. I can't have children. For the sake of having a grandson, you and Asher deceived me together. I can understand. But now he has had a car accident and become a vegetative. You clearly know that this is not my fault, but you still want to put all the blame on me. And you also ask me to resign from my job and serve him full time. I sneered, my eyes full of ridicule. Why? Do I owe Asher's family? Am I supposed to be a cow or a horse for Asher's family? People who are about to be buried. Aren't you afraid of retribution for doing so many immoral things? Arya. Serafina raised her hand to hit me. I raised my face and didn't dodge or avoid. Come on. If you have the ability, hit me. Just let people outside see how your Asher's family bullies a woman like me together. The young one cheats and keeps a mistress. The old ones deceive their daughter-in-law to take care of their vegetative son. The whole family are all black-hearted creatures. Serafina still didn't slap me. She was so angry that she was panting heavily, her eyes full of hatred. Enough. Oliver scolded and then looked at me. What do you want? Divorce my son? My son just had an accident and you want to divorce him. Isn't this not very good? You two have had so many years of relationship. Even if my son did something wrong, it can't all be blamed on him. You can't have children. Can't you allow him to find someone else to have children? I couldn't help but laugh angrily. So his cheating is my fault now, right? Serafina looked at me sideways. Isn't it? You can't lay eggs yourself. You can't cut off my son's descendants either. Oliver's eyes were cold and threatening. Arya, one can't be so ungrateful. His tone softened a bit. The matter of divorce will be discussed by you two when my son wakes up. But now you are still husband and wife. You have the obligation to take care of him. Okay, seeing that reasoning doesn't work, I simply agreed readily. As soon as you leave, I will give up treatment. When he dies, I will inherit all the property under his name. Oliver and Serafina's expressions changed at the same time. You. I smiled slightly. If you dare to leave him to me, I will dare to do this. Oliver and Serafina still didn't dare to bet. But they also didn't want me to divorce so easily. So they simply went around spreading rumors about my heartlessness. As soon as my husband had an accident and became a vegetative, I was about to divorce and leave. Isn't this heartless? But after experiencing my previous life, I am no longer that kind Arya who is so kind that she is almost weak. They use public opinion to smear me. Do I really just sit and wait for death? I sent private messages to several local marketing accounts and contributed. In the private message, I detailed my mental journey after Asher had an accident in my previous life. My husband, who had been in love with me for many years, had a car accident on his way home and became a vegetative. I was extremely painful. I originally wanted to resign and take care of him full-time until he woke up. Unexpectedly, I accidentally discovered something. After 3 years of marriage, he had been cheating for more than a year and his child was already 1 year old. My parents-in-law not only knew about it but also helped raise the mistress and the illegitimate child in their hometown. More importantly, he was in such a hurry to come back just to divorce me. While driving on the road, he was flirting with the mistress. That's why he had a car accident. This is not all. My parents-in-law clearly knew that their son's accident had nothing to do with me, but they still insisted on putting the blame on me and forced me to resign to take care of their son. As soon as this contribution was posted, netizens immediately exploded. I have never seen such shameless people. Ha ha ha, it's so satisfying. God can't stand it anymore. They really deserve it. Why didn't God put in more effort and just kill the scumbag directly? Sure enough, birds of a feather flock together. The son is a scumbag. The parents are both scumbags and bad. It's just pitiful for the little sister who contributed. So angry. Can we find out the identities of this family? I want to be the snowflake that overwhelms them. Why does it sound more and more familiar to me? Upstairs. Explain in detail. The power of netizens is strong. In just a few days, they found out the identities of Asher's family and Isabella's contact information. Plus, with my help behind the scenes, the contribution with the largest traffic even made it to the hot list of the same city. When I clicked in, I found that netizens had dug out Isabella's small account used to record life so quickly. In Isabella's Weibo, Asher is a husband who is busy with work and rarely comes home but is very affectionate with her. Oliver and Serafina are parents-in-law who treat her like their own daughter. The child is lively and lovely. Her life is rich and happy. Now that I have torn off that layer of fig leaf and exposed her true face in front of people, her fans call her a fraudster. So it's a mistress. I'm really shocked. Unfollow. So disgusting. The whole family deceived the original wife around. Now they still want to coax the original wife's sister to take care of your vegetative husband. Where's your face? Isn't it very affectionate? Isn't it that you can't live without each other? Why didn't you say a word when he became a vegetative? If you love him so much, you should take care of him in person. The power of public opinion soon radiated from the internet to reality. First, people came to make trouble at the supermarket opened by Oliver and his wife in their hometown. It was also splashed with red paint. They had no choice but to close the store. Then the address of Asher's family was also dug out. Countless calls and deliveries swarmed in. Due to the harassment of netizens, the pointing fingers of neighbors and relatives and friends, Isabella stayed at home alone with her child and didn't even dare to go out. Oliver and his wife were the first to collapse. They came to me and scolded, "Did you cause this trouble?" Serafina collapsed on the ground and slapped her thigh and wailed. "What a sin! How did our Asher's family marry such a daughter-in-law like you? As soon as my son had an accident, you wanted to leave. And you also put the information of your parents-in-law on the internet and let people cyberbully two old people." After a few days of not seeing each other, half of Oliver's hair had turned white. There was a lot of hostility between his eyebrows. "You go and explain clearly to that marketing account now. Say that you were talking nonsense. Ask that marketing account to delete the Weibo. Otherwise, I will sue you." "Okay, you can sue as much as you want." I had a cold face. "I don't mind making this matter known all over the country. Let everyone see the ugly faces of your Asher's family." Oliver was choked and his breathing became heavy. The time and place they came were very unfortunate. It was just the rush hour after work and it was also at the gate of the community. Soon a circle of onlookers gathered around. Serafina cried more and more vigorously. "Come and see. My black-hearted daughter-in-law colluded with outsiders to harm us two old people. Little sister. Are you the contributor who was asked to take care of her cheating husband who became a vegetative?" There was a beautiful college student in the crowd waving at me. I looked gloomy and could only force a wry smile. The college student immediately became excited and said to Serafina, "Old witch. How can you be so shameless? Everyone doesn't know. This little sister is so pitiful. Her husband has been cheating for more than a year and the child is already 1 year old. On the way back to divorce, he had a car accident while flirting with the mistress. As a result, this shameless pair actually wants to leave their vegetative son to this little sister to take care of. There is no such bullying." As soon as she said this, there were echoes in the crowd. I remember it too. I also saw this post. "Dr. Arya is usually very nice. I didn't expect to be stuck with such a disgusting family. How can they still have the face to come to this little sister? Aren't they ashamed at such an old age? If it were me, I would just bump myself to death." The crowd was excited. Serafina's crying gradually weakened, and finally a look of fear appeared on her face. Oliver's face was black and red, extremely ashamed and annoyed. He pulled Serafina and left in disgrace. As soon as they left, I bowed to the crowd. "Thank you all for speaking up for me." When I straightened up, I couldn't help shedding tears. The first college student who stood up for me immediately said, "Little sister, don't be afraid. If they come again, you call the police and send them all to the police station." There were also familiar neighbors who came forward to comfort me. "Dr. Arya, we are all on your side." I thanked them gratefully with a smile and said thank you again. That night, the video of Oliver and his wife making a scene at the gate of the community went on the hot search. Asher's family was completely famous. Asher's old couple at home didn't dare to come to me again, but Isabella contacted me late one night. Sister Arya, what good does this do to you? Asher has become like this. Dare you say you are not responsible at all? Yes, it's true that Asher and I are sorry for you by being together, but we are truly in love. True love is innocent. If you don't think about Asher, think about Asher's child. Leo is innocent. Uncle and aunt are old. Their son has become a vegetative. They can't bear any greater stimulation. Do you really want to force them to death? Really interesting. Did I force Asher to cheat? I didn't reply to her. Instead, I directly logged into Weibo and at her small account. Should I just resign quietly without making a fuss and take care of a husband who has long been cheating on me full-time? Isabella's speed of canceling her account was nowhere near as fast as that of netizens. In less than half an hour, there were thousands more comments under Isabella's latest Weibo on her small account. She was furious. You are so ruthless, Arya. Aren't you afraid that Asher will know these things when he wakes up? You exposed his own parents on the internet and let people scold them. He will hate you when he wakes up. I sneered and typed to reply, do you think that at this point, I will still care about his feelings? A man who is completely dirty inside and out. I am not even interested in having him at all. It showed that she was typing. I directly blocked her. Thinking that she must be angry and aggrieved now, I felt a burst of comfort. Can't she take this? In my previous life, I was kept in the dark for 4 years and finally lost my life. And Asher. I let out a long breath and tried to calm down my emotions. Oliver and his wife and Isabella are actually secondary. What I hate the most is still Asher. 8 years of long-distance love and 3 years of marriage. The most beautiful 11 years of my life were all spent knowing and loving him. When he had a car accident and became a vegetative, I took care of him wholeheartedly for 3 years and accompanied him in rehabilitation for another year. For a full 15 years, but what did I get in return? It was deception, lies, and his hard push to protect Isabella and her child. When I fell from the 4th floor and was pierced by the awning bracket, he held Isabella in his arms and comforted her softly, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's okay. It's an accident. It has nothing to do with us. I hate him so much. Why didn't that car smash Asher to pieces? How can such a disgusting person still live in this world? Fortunately, God has eyes. I was able to go back 4 years ago. In this life, it is impossible for Asher to recover into a healthy person 4 years later. After sorting out the evidence of Asher's cheating, I officially sued for divorce in court. Although Oliver and his wife tried to interfere, the evidence of Asher's cheating was conclusive. The lawyer I hired was also recognized as very powerful in the industry. 3 months later, I not only got divorced smoothly but also got most of the property. You black-hearted bitch. You will be punished. In just a few months, under the endless harassment of netizens, Oliver and his wife became extremely haggard. Serafina looked at me with hatred in her eyes and cried as if she was the victim, my poor Asher. How did he end up with such a cruel woman? Enough. Oliver scolded impatiently. He pulled Serafina and walked away. Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? With money and leisure time and no longer having to worry about Asher becoming a vegetative, I relaxed completely. I went on a trip first to relax and then returned to the hospital and devoted myself to work. No longer being held back by Asher and no longer wasting favors to transfer Asher to the hospital where I work. I live a fulfilling and happy life every day. Asher's family is different. That incident caused such a big stir on the internet that it has long been known to everyone in the small county. Asher's family's supermarket, which the two depended on for survival, couldn't be opened anymore. After half a year, they chose to close the store and transfer it. Oliver and his wife looked at Isabella more and more unpleasantly. So they simply pushed all the blame onto her. They blamed her for sharing her life on the internet and blamed her for still calling Asher when he was driving. If it weren't for Isabella, Asher's family would not have become so miserable. Asher's family had a big fight every 3 days and a small fight every day. Isabella soon couldn't stand Oliver and his wife. She threw the child to them and went out to find a job by herself. But although that incident had passed, her popularity still remained. Which company would dare to hire such an employee with low moral character? After repeatedly hitting walls, Isabella still didn't give up. She took her suitcase and left that small county and went to a big city. She found a job, but in less than half a month, she would always be inexplicably fired. When asked about the reason, her boss glanced at her and pulled out the news from that year. "This is you, right?" Isabella was hit and could no longer have the intention to work. Fortunately, her face was still good-looking. She simply took a crooked path. She attached herself to a wealthy businessman and became his secret mistress. Oliver and his wife knew nothing about this. When Isabella repeatedly hit walls in the big city, their days were also difficult. The family's savings were originally enough for them to squander. But once, Oliver got drunk and heard people at the same table talking about his son and grandson, saying that they didn't accumulate virtue and deserved this fate. In a fit of anger, he picked up a wine bottle and hit the person into serious injury. That family was not easy to deal with. When they made a fuss, Oliver almost got into trouble. Only after paying most of his family's wealth did the matter calm down. In fact, such a thing also happened in my previous life. A familiar neighbor stood up for me and was beaten lame by Oliver. He also paid money, but not as much as in this life. With the supermarket gone and the house gone, in order to raise their grandson and vegetative son, Oliver and his wife had to go out to find jobs at an old age. But considering their age, the jobs they could find were nothing more than cleaners, waiters, and such jobs. They couldn't bring themselves to do such jobs. But if they didn't work, what about their grandson and son? When they finally brought themselves to work, someone recognized them as the parents-in-law who forced their daughter-in-law to take care of her cheating husband. So the job they had just started was gone again. Their days were difficult, and Asher lying in bed was not much better. Although he became a vegetative, he could still perceive everything outside. He just couldn't communicate with the outside world or control his own body. The caregivers hired by Oliver and his wife for him were the worst kind in the hospital. Poor service and not taking good care of him. Moreover, they would vent their anger on the patient privately. This was specially prepared by me for Asher. I went to see him several times. He lost weight quickly and his muscles also atrophied quickly. Lying in bed, he was like a skeleton with only a layer of skin left. In my previous life, I took care of him wholeheartedly and used the best medicine for everything. I was so tired that I had minor illnesses constantly. He lay in bed for 3 years and was just like a normal person who was asleep. Now, looking at his sunken eye sockets, protruding cheekbones, and emaciated appearance almost beyond recognition, I couldn't help thinking, how long will it take him to recover to be a normal person in this life? Half a year later, Asher woke up. He woke up even earlier than in my previous life. Perhaps he was afraid that Oliver and his wife would really give up on him, so he woke up. During the time he was in a coma, he had long learned from the caregivers that I already knew the truth and divorced him. So the first thing he did when he woke up was to contact me. Ing. Hearing his slurred cry, I frowned in disgust and held the phone a little farther away. "Asher, we have already divorced. Why are you still looking for me? I have nothing to say to you." After saying that, I hung up the phone. Entrusted by their son, Oliver and his wife also came to the hospital where I worked to find me. They changed their previous arrogance and humbly asked me if I could go and see Asher. They also said that after all, I and he had had so many years of relationship. It's not like we would never see each other again after one died. After being rejected by me, Serafina cursed, "How can you be so cruel, you bitch? Poor my son. He is always thinking about you," his ex-wife. He finally woke up. But you are not even willing to see him. Oliver was so angry that his face and neck turned red. He simply reached out to grab me. "You have to see him today whether you like it or not." I quickly took a step back and called for the security guard loudly, "If you don't leave, I will call the police." Just because Asher wants to see me, I have to see him? What is he? We have been divorced for 800 years. He has nothing to do with me anymore. Oliver and his wife stayed outside the hospital for a long time before leaving. One endured and wiped tears. The other collapsed on the ground and slapped her thigh and wailed. They told everyone how heartless this daughter-in-law was, as if they had suffered a great grievance. But I was prepared early and had a good relationship with the security guards at the hospital gate. So even without me showing up, the security uncle spontaneously explained to the passers-by who stopped and watched. It's that one from the year before last. The one who deceived the daughter-in-law to take care of her cheating husband who became a vegetative after a car accident. Now the person has woken up and is pestering Dr. Arya again. Whoa! So immoral? How can they still have the face to cry? If it were me, I would be so ashamed. This is just taking advantage of the doctor's thin skin, right? The security uncle shook his head and sighed, isn't it? Just taking advantage of Dr. Arya's good temper. Oliver and his wife couldn't stay any longer soon and left in disgrace. They came several more times later. But they were not allowed to enter at the hospital gate. As soon as they came, the security guards drove them away. I moved early. They didn't know my address, so they didn't come anymore. I saw Asher again 8 months later. He was sitting in a wheelchair and had gained some weight. Compared to the last time I saw him, he looked more like a person. Under my scrutinizing gaze, he slowly blushed in shame. His eyes still stared at me directly. Arya. I stood still and had no expression on my face. What's the matter? He frowned in pain. Do you have to talk to me like this? I raised my eyebrows in slight surprise. Then how should I talk to you? You should be grateful for my high quality if I don't laugh out loud. Asher became more and more ashamed and angry. We were husband and wife for so long. We had so many years of relationship. Are you really so heartless and want to cut off all ties with me? Not want to. It's already done. I corrected him. We have already divorced 3 years ago, Asher. Now we are just ex-husband and ex-wife. But I don't want to divorce you. He grabbed the wheelchair with both hands and leaned forward. His red eyes stared at me firmly. Arya, I don't want to divorce you. Just because you say so? Legally, our marriage relationship no longer exists. How many times do I have to tell you? I was a little impatient. But Asher became more and more excited. This can't count. I was in a coma at that time and had no consciousness at all. The court shouldn't have judged us divorced. Did you lie in bed for 3 years and damage your brain? I smiled faintly. Did I divorce you because you became a vegetative? It's because you cheated. You blatantly kept your mistress in your hometown. The child is already 1 year old. A look of shame and resentment appeared on Asher's thin face. His eyes were pleading. I know I was wrong, Arya. I'm sorry for you. But I really never thought of divorcing you. Believe me. I looked at him for a long time and nodded. Okay, I believe you. Asher was stunned for a moment. Immediately, ecstasy welled up in his eyes. He leaned forward excitedly and looked at me eagerly. I'm awake now. The doctor said that as long as I work hard on rehabilitation training, I will definitely become a normal person. Let's remarry, okay? If you like children, we can take him over and raise him ourselves. If you don't like him, we can let my parents take care of him in our hometown. I know you had a very unpleasant time with my parents before. But don't worry, I won't let them disturb you again. Although I'm in a wheelchair now, in fact, I can already stand up and walk a few steps. The doctor said that after a while, I will be completely recovered. He looked at me carefully, full of expectation and eagerness. Let's pick a day and get the certificate again? I met his gaze and suddenly burst out laughing. I couldn't stop laughing. Asher's face slowly flushed, but he still held on. Arya? I asked seriously, in your heart, am I a complete sucker? Asher's face stiffened. How could it be? Of course not. Arya, why are you saying this? I asked in return, don't you know why? You want me to take over a second-hand dirty man who has long been cheating, is still in a wheelchair now, and I don't know if he can recover in the future. Don't you know why I say this? Humiliation and resentment appeared on Asher's face. His voice seemed to be squeezed out from between his teeth. Arya, don't put it so harshly. After all, we have had so many years of relationship. You can't stand it just because I said it? Then don't do this. I put on a cold face. Don't mention our many years of relationship anymore. If you really remember our many years of relationship, you wouldn't have cheated and had an illegitimate child. That was an accident. Asher eagerly explained. Really, believe me, Arya. I didn't mean to cheat. That day we were both drunk. Do you think I'm a fool? Asher, don't forget that I am a doctor. Men have no sexual function after getting drunk. Moreover, don't I know what you are like when you are drunk? Asher's face turned pale and his gaze began to wander. Okay, even if you really had sex after getting drunk. Your parents raised Isabella at home and took care of that child against your will. I looked at him with contempt and didn't hide the disgust on my face. Was it also forced by them that you were affectionate with Isabella and brought a divorce agreement to divorce me? Asher didn't speak anymore. The divorce has been finalized. I won't be a sucker. Don't come to me again. After saying that, I was too lazy to look at Asher's expression anymore and left directly. I thought Asher wouldn't give up so easily, but I still underestimated his thick skin. The second time he came, he actually brought Oliver and Serafina. I don't know what he said. The two old people who used to look down on me extremely now were meek and submissive. They wiped their tears and talked about their difficulties. It's our old people's fault, Arya. It's us who delayed you and Asher. Don't blame Asher. It was us who forced him to be with that Isabella. He is filial, so he did these things that are sorry for you. Perhaps life in old age is too difficult. Perhaps they are ashamed to lower their heads in front of me, their former daughter-in-law. Perhaps being taught a lesson by their son and deeply realizing their current situation. This old couple looked dejected and no longer had their previous arrogant appearance. I couldn't help being a little dazed and inevitably remembered the past. I am an orphan. Oliver and his wife didn't agree with Asher marrying me at first. In their eyes, I had no parents and no one to support me. No matter how good my education was, I still wasn't worthy of their precious son. At that time, Asher really loved me. I didn't want him to argue with his parents because of me. So I endured it and suffered a lot under Oliver and his wife. I thought that hard work could win recognition, but in fact, it wasn't. Even though Asher and I were already married, they still didn't like me very much. It was okay to pick on me verbally. Every time we went back to our hometown on festivals, they always ordered me to do this and that. It was as if after I married Asher, I became a nanny for their Asher's family. I had a good temper, but I wasn't the kind of person who could be easily manipulated. After arguing with Serafina several times, I didn't want to go back to our hometown with Asher anymore. Although the relationship was not good here, it could still barely maintain superficial peace. Until the second year, when I was 6 months pregnant. On the way to pick up Asher, who was socializing, I was scraped by an electric bike and fell to the ground. It was a formed boy. When he left my body, he almost took half of my life. For this lost grandson and because I could no longer have children, Oliver and his wife several times quarreled and asked Asher to divorce me. At that time, I was disheartened and had thought about divorce. But Asher didn't allow it. Don't divorce. We won't divorce. It's my fault. I'm sorry for you, Arya. How could I divorce you at this time? Forgive me. He held me and cried uncontrollably. We said we would be together for a lifetime. You can't let go. But who could have thought that 6 months after he said these words, he got into Isabella's bed? Pulling myself out of the memories of past and present lives, I looked at Oliver and his wife's dejected faces. You blame all your faults on your parents. Then I looked at Asher on the side and said coldly, do you think this can prove your innocence? They forced you to be with Isabella. Can they still force you to get hard? In the final analysis, your body is your own. If you don't want to, no one can force you even if the God comes. Asher turned his wheelchair as if to move forward. I quickly stepped back and said sharply, Asher. I have made myself very clear. The divorce is finalized. I have nothing to do with you anymore. If you really remember our many years of relationship so much, then be more conscious and don't disturb me again. I tried hard to suppress the resentment in my heart. Don't make me hate you. Asher was stunned for a moment. I had already left without looking back. After taking a few steps, I could still hear Asher's murmur, "No, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this." Then came his scolding voice to Oliver and his wife, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault. If it weren't for the irresponsible caregiver you hired. If it weren't for you transferring the supermarket and having no money to buy medicine for me, how would I become like this? I am a useless person now." His collapsed crying and wailing in my ears was simply the most beautiful music in the world. I didn't stop walking, but my mood was extremely comfortable. From the first moment I saw Asher, I noticed something was wrong with him. If it were Asher in this life, even if he had suffered a lot in the 3 years of being a vegetative and knew the truth that I wanted to divorce him, he would never have such great resentment towards his own parents. No matter what, they are his own parents. Moreover, he is usually a filial person. But it would be different if it were Asher from my previous life. In my previous life, under my diligent and wholehearted care, he recovered very well. The family supermarket was also operating normally. So after his accident, his parents could live in comfort with their grandson. But in this life, he fell into the hands of an unethical caregiver and suffered a lot. Even though he woke up half a year earlier, his recovery progress was far worse than in the previous life. Not only that, the family supermarket is gone and the savings are also gone. In order to treat him, his parents also took on a large amount of debt. With such a great contrast, it's no wonder he is so breakdown and desperate. In addition, there is Isabella. After knowing that Asher woke up, she came to see him once. Just that once. After that, she never came again. She didn't even want her son anymore. She is living a very comfortable life now. Why would she want to look back at Asher? Moreover, Asher's current condition is not good enough for her. A useless person. She despises him to death. How can this be? A couple who were so affectionate in the previous life. How could I bear to see them separated? So I found out the identity of her current sugar daddy and found a way to pass the news to the legal wife. In less than half a month, Isabella went back to find Asher in disgrace. The legal wife came to the door, took away her house and luxury bags, and drove her out mercilessly. She had no money and nowhere to go. So she simply moved into Asher's house and waited for Asher's old couple to support her. Asher's old couple at home certainly couldn't tolerate her. But there was no way. She held a trump card in her hand. Most likely, Leo was Asher's only son. It can be said that she was using the son to order the old couple. Asher's old couple loved their grandson. They had to endure even if they couldn't. After that, Asher came to find me again. Perhaps he had figured it out. Why was everything different from the previous life after being reborn? You are also reborn, right? Asher lowered his voice and stared at me closely. I'm sorry for you, Arya. I was deceived by that bitch Isabella. Believe me, that bitch had already cheated. I was also kept in the dark. After you left, my life was also not good. His expression was ferocious and terrifying, full of resentment towards Isabella. Only then did I know that after I died in my previous life, he didn't live long either. He and Isabella disguised my death as an accidental fall. During the police investigation, he found out that Isabella had already cheated, and he and his lover were planning whether to report to the police that he had killed me. In a fit of anger, Asher rushed in and got into a fight with them. As a result, he was hit on the back of the head with an ashtray. And he died just like that. He said it full of resentment. But I was extremely happy to hear it. Serves him right. Asher's face stiffened. But soon he repented again. It's my fault. I didn't know people well. Seeing me frown impatiently, he finally got to the point. Since we can't remarry, can you lend me some money? I am in this situation and there is no source of income at home. Asher, look clearly. Standing in front of you is your ex-wife who was pushed to death by you from the 4th floor. I interrupted him and looked directly into his eyes. How saintly am I to lend money to the enemy who killed me? I don't know how happy I am to see you in poverty. Asher's forcefully put on repentant expression cracked. His eyes were bloodshot and he yelled at me, Arya. I'm sorry for you. But now that I have become like this, aren't you satisfied yet? Do you have to force me to death before you are willing? What is this? I sneered. Compared to what you did to me in my previous life, what I did is nothing. Asher's face trembled and his eyes were scarlet. Aren't you afraid that I will tell everyone about being reborn? I will tell everyone that everything that has happened to me is your doing. You did it on purpose. If you don't give me money, then I will keep pestering you. Go ahead. I looked up and down at Asher sitting in the wheelchair. With sarcasm in my smile. See who people believe, you or me. Asher's face flushed with humiliation and he didn't speak. Not to mention my past entanglements with him. Just talking about now. A patient who has just woken up from a vegetative state and is mentally unstable. A doctor with a great future. Even a fool knows who to believe. As for what you said about pestering me all the time. I leaned down and looked into his eyes. I am a person who has died once. Do you think I will be afraid? Moreover, I am alone. But you have old people and children. Asher, God has opened his eyes. Everything that has happened to you now is the retribution you deserve. Asher's reddened pupils suddenly tightened and trembled. He couldn't say a word. I wasn't worried at all that Asher would make the matter of being reborn public. Not to mention whether anyone would believe him. Even if this matter really attracted social attention, could he escape? I wasn't afraid of his entanglement. But I was completely fed up with Asher's family. There happened to be an opportunity for advanced studies in the hospital. It was in the imperial capital. After my application was approved, I took a plane to the imperial capital. After that, I rarely heard news about Asher again. With a busy work and a life that is ordinary but happy. I don't have time to waste on unworthy people. Later, I heard that Asher committed suicide. He didn't die. He became paralyzed and lived a conscious and painful life. Isabella ran away once. After half a year, she came back again. But her face was ruined and her temperament became more and more violent. Oliver and his wife had to take care of their grandson and paralyzed son. They also had to support a daughter-in-law who just waited for food. Their life was extremely difficult. But what did it have to do with me? Anyway, I have already escaped from the shadow of the past and embraced a new life again.